So now we're going to move on to Gerard from
move on.
Verbund. I do want to quickly say I got a note from the organizers.
Thank you.
My desire to disrupt the panel conversation with...
Thank you very much, Ron. A warm welcome also from my side, Gerhard Gampel from Austria. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was obviously, how can I turn it? Okay, that's it. Okay. It was obviously Oriol and myself to talk about blockchain as one of the probably most interesting disruptive technologies. But before I go into that, I have prepared a few slides. Where do it come from? Oriol presented it from an institution, Energy World Foundation. Myself, I come from Austria, which is a very small country in the center of Europe, 8 million people. But you see the scenery here. I wanted to bring these photos because there's a lot of Bollywood films that take place here in the sceneries where we have our pump storage, hydros, and right up into the mountains where we are the grid operators. And we already have a lot of Indian weddings in Austria. And we are very happy to invite all of you to come to Austria because you see it's a very nice place to stay and to have here weddings and whatsoever. When we look into the electricity business, and it's here as a smart grid conference, I think there's a huge development ahead of us here in India. When you see the figures from 2016, what was terawatt hours produced in Europe, 3,300, and it was around 1,000 terawatt hours in India. But what you see here, it's the World Energy Outlook until 2050, and the region with the highest growth is going to be India. You see it here, and that's why it's very important when we have that big demand growth that we tackle the problems not only with conventional technologies, but also with new technologies. And that's why I'm presenting in a few slides the blockchain technology. And as we have gone into pilot projects and POCs in order to learn this new technology. What is blockchain? On the left-hand side, you see a traditional SQL database. And in the center and the right, you have two different angles and perspectives regarding the blockchain. It's layers that are connected with each other. You have nodes, you have networks, and everyone is linked to each other. You have also here these buzzwords, Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't talk about Bitcoin because there's a big hype on that, but the basic technology is blockchain. And I'm talking about the usage here in the electricity industry. And it was Oriol already talking about Ethereum. I think this is a more advanced concept where we're also doing our pilot projects. Yeah, what is blockchain? It's a decentralized distributed ledger technology. If a person A has a transaction with person B, the normal way is that you do it with intermediaries. Yeah? There is a notary. If you sell land to your neighbor, there's a notary, there's a lawyer. With the blockchain, you can do those transactions without a notary because the transaction is encrypted as a block, and this is the transaction, and this is trusted transaction. And if it's a next transaction that my neighbor who has already bought this land, is buying a house for that, he can do the next transaction also with a block, it's simplified, it's a block. And this chain of blocks is here forever, and it's trusted, and it's computed permanently by distributed node. So what is new here? You have a transaction concept consisting of trust, traceability, and security, and as I said before, without intermediaries. you see here the development of the internet, and what you can see here is that it used to be the internet of information, and now it's becoming the internet of value and of trust. Because if you do those transactions as I described before, yeah, nobody can change what has happened. It's in those blocks. It's in those blocks forever, and nobody can change it. In the years before, when we were in the normal internet, everybody could change the information that was presented in the internet. Now, when we go into blockchain, this is now settled forever. So what you see here is an overview, which are the industries where blockchain has already been applied. And what you see here on the very right-hand side, you see it's the banking sector. They have developed blockchain applications 5 years ago whatsoever. They were more or less the first ones to go into that. The second biggest is government. Yeah? There is states that are going into blockchain. For example, Georgia in the Caucasus, you know, this small country, there hasn't ever been a trustful land register. And what they started now, they went into a blockchain land register. Yeah? So there is a hash, there is a block that says person A is the owner of this land. And this is in the blockchain, yeah? And it's in the official blockchain of the Republic of Georgia, yeah? But also, there's also other countries. In Sweden, there's a province. They moved also from a traditional IT land register into a blockchain register. Then the other sectors is insurances or media. For example, you can prevent piracy on music, on paintings, on novels or whatsoever, if there is a certain number, let's call it a number, that is linked, yeah, to a song or to a picture or whatsoever. It's there forever. So you can prevent privacy by that. So, and if you go further, it's only 3% already in the electricity sector. We say that there's a huge field where we can deploy it, but nevertheless, the electricity sector, the utility sector, still is behind in the rollout of blockchain. You had a lot of pictures regarding the smart grid. I call it the transactive grid. We say it's the perfect playground for blockchain. Why do we say that? What you see here, and we have in the afternoon, we have a special workshop also where we can discuss those POCs all over the globe. The most prominent one is the Brooklyn microgrid. It was 2 years ago when there was a street on the one side, there was panels on the roofs, and the neighbors on the other side, they could get the electricity from the roofs on the other side without going through the ordinary network. So this is the Brooklyn microgrid. On the left-hand side on top, it's an initiative called Oslo to Rome. It's regarding e-vehicles. Yeah? So when you're in Oslo and want to drive with your e-vehicle to Rome, you can use all those former petrol stations, the charging stations, that are linked to the system. And the only thing you do is you put the charger into the charging station from your car, and everything is done by itself. It's, you know how many kilowatt hours you charged. It's instantly put away from your credit card, and you have all the data, and everything is done by itself, and everything is linked to the blockchain without any other intermediary working on that. On the bottom, on the right side, you see Grid. It's an interesting startup in US. What they're doing, you have a device, and it's prepaid electricity. You buy for $100, you pay electricity, and the thing is, they sell electricity at costs. No overhead, no nothing. You get the wholesale price as a private customer, and the thing is, they say, okay, we sell the electricity at cost, but we also have additional services that we bring to the households in order to make additional sales. So there's, on a global perspective, there's a lot of experiments and POCs. What are we doing in our company with Verbund, the biggest utility in Austria? We have two, on the left-hand side, we have two microgrid POCs, and on the right-hand side, we are part of the Energen consortium, which is a trading POC. These are my last slides now. What we're doing here on a blockchain basis, we have in a tenant building like this, we have the solar panels on the roof, we have the tenants, we have all the smart metering, and then we have the charging station for the vehicles. We have also batteries, and all these, the exchange of the electricity, probably from one tenant to the other. When I'm on holidays, for skiing holidays for 2 weeks, I say, okay, I give it to my neighbor on the right-hand side, yeah? He is getting my electricity from the solar panel, and this is all being done by a blockchain, yeah? You don't have any intermediary, it's all done by itself, yeah? And we have those two POCs together with another utility in Austria, Salzburg AG. And the second thing, it's huge also, it's almost 40 utilities in Europe, the big ones, it's EDF, it's E.ON, it's Engie, and the other ones. And what they're doing here is, we do, what we're doing with them, we do peer-to-peer trades. There is company A, company B, and normally you go via brokers, intermediaries, or whatsoever, but we do the trades directly, yeah? And in the center, where you see here blockchain, there's normally the marketplaces, where you have brokerage fees or whatsoever, and we already did those direct peer-to-peer trades. I think this is one of the most interesting fields of application of blockchain, and we are going to roll that out in a much broader space. So my last slide is, from my perspective, what is the outlook regarding blockchain? Blockchain is still a hype. When we're talking about Bitcoin, it's especially, but the blockchain as itself is a hype. But if you're talking to the specialists and the big corporates in the world, everybody is convinced blockchain is here to stay. Blockchain has the potential to become a real game changer in the utility sector. But although we are at the very beginning, someone made the comparison like the Commodore C64, yeah, it's a long time ago, some 20 years or something like that. This is where we are now in the development of the blockchain technology. It will bring us faster processes, lower costs, greater flexibility with high levels of security. This is the vision of blockchain. And in the end, in some decades probably, when we're talking about the Internet of Things, it will be powered by the ledger of things, by the blockchain. And maybe in 50 years or something like that, the Internet of everything will be a ledger of everything. My last word is, I'm convinced there will never ever be as less as innovation as there is today, meaning there's a lot of innovation coming to us, and it is in front of us. Then, yeah, let's go into blockchain, and I'm happy to discuss it with you in the afternoon session. Thank you very much.